Hi everyone, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to talk about Kubernetes resource management objects, resource quota and limit range. Limit range. Limit range works at pod and container level. It helps us to set default requests and limits when they are not available. It also enforces min and maximum values for our pod and container. As you can see here in this YAML specification, we set the limit, we create a limit range for the container. And then if you don't specify the resources for our container, then by default, Kubernetes uses this limit range specifications and set the request.cpu as 500 millicore and request.memory as 512 memobytes. So this is the limits.cpu value as 1 and limits.memory as 1 gig. So when you create a Kubernetes pod and if you don't specify the resources for your pod, then by default Kubernetes uses these configurations from the limit range values. Um, in resource quota is also a namespace scoped object. The thing is, it's actually applicable for all pods in the namespace. So it helps us to set the hard limits on the total resources used by all the pods. We can also set the limits on the number of pods, maximum number of pods, and we can also set the limits on the number of object counts. Let's say if you don't want to create more than 20 services, then we can also mention that in the resource quota. As you can see here in the resource quota specification, we put the hard limit for request.cpu and request.memory and limits.cpu limits.memory. So and we also set the pods as 20 and resources as 10. That means if you just try to create more than 20 pods, then resource quota will not allow us to do that, because as per the specification here, you can't create more than 20 pods. But if the resources are available and then if you have less number of pods, then we can create it. Now let's look at the next diagram. As you can see here, when you apply a Kubernetes pod to run and then if you don't specify the resources, then limit range Kubernetes will use the limit range and then it will just try to inject the default values and also checks the min and maximum values for your Kubernetes pod. Once that's done, the next step is to check the resource quota admission process. Kubernetes check the current uses in the namespace, and if this new pod fits the remaining resource quota, then the new pod will be allowed and it will be created automatically. But if there is no sufficient resource capacity, then Kubernetes will reject the pod, but it's not going to completely kill the pod. The pod is in pending state, and it will wait for the resources to become available. Once the resources are available, then Kubernetes will transition the pod status from pending to running, and then it will start executing the pod. I hope you're able to follow the entire conversation. So the main thing is that limit range is applicable at the pod and container level. Um, Resource quota is applicable at the namespace level. So we can control maximum number of pods, maximum number of resources, and we can also control the maximum number of total CPU and memory values. If you have any questions, please leave your comments in the comment section. Thank you.